Okay, guys, I did this for you so that you can understand this a little bit better. When you deal with older texts, you often come across an issue where comprehension becomes a struggle. So I wanted to go ahead and do something for you so that you might be able to understand what he's saying here. By now you should have already watched the video from tcm.com with the reenactment of the speech for the Virginia Convention, the Give Me Freedom, Give Me Liberty, or Give Me Death. Please forgive me of my voice. It's been a long day. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read this to you and I'm going to explain things to you about each section. Know that when you get ready to do a college class or any type of other literature study, that when you come across more difficult texts, you can often look up synopsis of the text so that they will be able to help you better understand what's actually being said in modern day language. It makes it a little easier to study, and then you can go back in and work with those more difficult texts so that you can analyze it and give your own opinion. Anyway, now that I've said that, I'm going to go ahead and read, and then I'm going to explain things as we go. Patrick Henry, Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death, 1775. No man thinks more highly than I do of the patriotism, as well as abilities, of the very worthy gentlemen who have just addressed the House, but different men often see the same subject in different lights, and therefore I hope it will not be thought disrespectful to those gentlemen if, entertaining as I do opinions of a character very opposite of theirs, I shall speak forth my sentiments freely and without reserve. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right here, and I'm going to talk to you about just this little section, this without reserve, sentiments, speaking sentiments freely, this whole section here. Basically what it's saying is that it's okay for us to all have different opinions, and he doesn't want to cause any offense to anybody, that everybody or every man is different. Different men often see the same subject in a different light. And so he's talking about not being disrespectful, and he values their opinions, but he's going to speak forth his sentiments freely and without reserve, okay? He's going to talk the way he talks, the way he wants to talk, and explain things his way, okay? But he doesn't want to offend anybody. So now we're going to move on to the next section. This is no time for ceremony. The question before the House is one of awful moments to this country. For my part, I consider it as nothing less than a question of freedom or slavery, and in proportion to the magnitude of the subject ought to be the freedom of the debate. It is only in this way that we can hope to arrive at truth and fulfill great responsibility which we hold to God and our country. Should I keep back my opinions at such a time, through fear of giving offense, I should consider myself as guilty of treason towards my country, and of an act of disloyalty towards the majesty of heaven, which I revere above all earthly kings. Here he's speaking pretty powerfully. He's pulling out his faith, his religion. He doesn't want to be disloyal towards God, and God is who he reveres above all earthly kings. He feels like he has to speak. Should I keep back my opinions at such a time? Through fear of giving offense, he's going to be guilty of treason, not just for this country, but also towards God. And it doesn't matter what the king says or does. Basically, it's either going to be freedom or slavery for him at this point in time in history. And he's going to explain why here in a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. He starts off by saying, Mr. President, it is natural to man to indulge in the illusions of hope. We are apt to shut our eyes against the painful truth. Listen to the song of that siren till she transforms us into beasts. Now, if you've ever had a mythology class, you're looking at this siren till she transforms us into beasts. Siren is a woman who calls and lures men to their death. Okay, this is a metaphor. He's talking about the song of the siren. against the painful truth of what's going on, and that if we ignore it, we're going to be called to our death, or we're going to become beasts, basically. Is this the part of wise men engaged in a great and arduous struggle for liberty? Are we disposed to be of the number of those, having eyes not see, having ears hear not, and the things which so nearly concern their temporal salvation? For my part, whatever anguish of spirit it may cost, I am willing to know the whole truth, to know the worst, and to provide for it. Basically, he's saying it's not well in us to ignore what we see, ignore what we hear, and do nothing about it. Okay? Because we're afraid to get uncomfortable. For him and his spirit, he says, I'm willing to know the whole truth, no matter how hard it is to know. For him, he's willing to know what it is. Okay? The next part, I have but one lamp by my feet, I have but one lamp by which my feet are guided, and this is the lamp of experience. We're looking at metaphor. And you need to get these down. I know of no way of judging of the future but by the past. In judging by the past, I wish to know that there has been in the conduct of the British ministry for the last 10 years to justify those hopes with which gentlemen have been pleased, but to solace themselves and the House. Basically, I can only go by what has happened in the past, and the British ministry in the last 10 years has done nothing but satisfy their own needs and the house in which they serve there in England. He says, is it that insidious smile with which our petition has been lately received? Insidious smile, something very evil. Also a metaphor for something evil. Trust it not, sir, it will prove a snare to your feet. Suffer not yourself to be betrayed with a kiss. Ask yourselves how this gracious reception of our petition comports with those warlike preparations which cover our waters and darken our land. Basically, if we're giving a gracious reception, or they're giving us a gracious reception over in England, or being willing to be kind and play nice, then why do we have warlike preparations on our waters and our lands? Why are they here? Why do we have soldiers sitting here on the sides, waiting for us to go back, or waiting for a battle? Okay, are fleets and armies necessary to work of love and reconciliation? Do we have to have the army, the navies, the militaries? Have we shown ourselves so unwilling to be reconciled that force must be called in to win back our love? Let us not deceive ourselves, sir. These are the implements of war and subjugation, the last arguments to which kings resort. I ask, gentlemen, sir, what means this martial array, if it propose be not to force us to submission? Can gentlemen assign any other possible motive for it? Has Great Britain any enemy in this quarter of the world to call for this accumulation of navies and armies? No, sir, she has none. They are meant for us. They can be meant for no other. They're darkening our waters. They're darkening our land. They're there because the king wants them there. Why? The work of love and reconciliation? No, you're fooling yourself. Okay, they have not been unwilling to be reconciled, or win back love of the king, or win back their love for the king, is better yet put. He calls for us not to deceive ourselves. These are the implements of war. The king is ready to come in, fight, and subjugate. Okay, this is the last resort of a king. Okay, and no, there's no other armies around, or no other people around that need to be held down or anything else. This is meant for the colonies. Okay, they are sent over to bind and rivet upon us those chains which a British ministry have so long been forging. Let me reread that again. They are sent over to bind and rivet upon us those chains which a British ministry have been so long forging. The chains of slavery. And what have we to oppose to them? Shall we try argument? Sir, we have been trying for that for the last 10 years. Have we anything new to offer upon this subject? Nothing. We have held the subject up in every light of which it is capable, but it has all been in vain. Shall we resort to entreaty and humble supplication? What terms shall we find which have not already been exhausted? Let us not, I beseech you, sir, deceive ourselves. They've already done everything that they possibly can do. Okay? He says, sir, we have done everything that can be done to avert the storm which is now coming on. We have petitioned, we have remonstrated, we have supplicated, we have prostrated ourselves before the throne, which means to throw yourself down at the feet of the throne, and have implored its interposition to arrest the tyrannical hands of the ministry and parliament. They have begged and begged for them to take away all of the things that are bad that the king and has been doing to them. Our petitions have been slighted, they've been ignored, pushed aside. Our remonstrances have produced additional violence and insult. Our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from the foot of the throne. In vain after these things may we indulge the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve inviolate those inestimable privileges for which we have been so long contending, if we mean not basely to abandon the noble struggle in which we have been so long engaged, and which we have pledged ourselves never to abandon until the glorious object of our contest shall be obtained, we must fight. I repeat it, sir, we must fight, and appeal to arms and to the God of hosts is all that is left us. We've been ignored. We have the king has ignored us. They're not helping us. They're only putting more and more problems on us, and we want to be free. We deserve to be free. We have to, if we mean not basely to abandon this noble struggle in which we have been so long engaged, we must pledge ourselves never to abandon until glorious object of our contest shall be obtained. We deserve our freedoms. They tell us, sir, that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable an adversary. But when shall we be stronger? When will it be? Will it be the next week or the next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed and when the British Guard shall be stationed in every house? Shall we gather strength by irresolution and inaction? Shall we acquire the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely on our backs and hugging the delusive phantom of hope? Personification, delusive phantom of hope, until our enemies shall have bound us hand and foot? Are we just going to lay down and die? Are we just going to lay down and give up and let them take everything we have? Sir, we are not weak if we make proper use of those means which God of nature hath placed in our power. We have divine help through God. The millions of people armed in the holy cause of liberty, and in such a country as that which we possess, are invincible by any force which our enemy can send against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battles alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations and shall not fight our battles. And who will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. Let me read that again. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations and who will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. The battle, sir, is not to be the strong alone. It is to the vigilant, the active, and the brave. I compare this to schoolwork with some students. I have some really great, brilliant students who determine that they're so brilliant that they don't need to do any of the work that I assign. And so let's not do the work, and let's just give up, and let's receive our failing grade, and let's move on. The people that are making A's in my class are the kids that try. Kids that try and kids that work, you know? It's kind of the same thing here, where you're looking at a army who, if they continue to go forward, being vigilant and active and brave, they will win. Besides, sir, we have no election. If we were base enough to desire it, it is now too late to retire from the contest. we can't be dumb enough to realize that, oh, we can pull back. No, not anymore. It's too late. There is no retreat but in submission and slavery. Basically, if we don't fight, we're going to become slaves. Our chains are already forged. Their clanking may be heard on the plains in Boston. The war is inevitable. And let it come. I repeat it, sir. Let it come. We can either ignore it, go to slavery. We can fight it and win. It is in vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war has actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring our ears to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have if life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Basically, we got to fight. It doesn't do you any good to call for peace because there's no peace. The war has actually already started. So why are we here arguing this? We need to be out there fighting. It's my opinion. As for me, give me liberty or give me death. So you're looking at, on your paper, let's go ahead and see if I can't pull it up here. Let's go in here. Let's see if I can't get this up here. I think I have to go up, yeah. Sorry. I wasn't ready to show you this. So on your paper, you have this 2 block here. I'll go ahead and open it up. In this section, actually, go ahead and do this with the pen. This section and this section, if you recall, Uni Quotes that stand out to you, new vocab. Okay? And that goes for here too. Quotes, new vocab. Okay? Over here, title, author. Over here, figurative language. I already gave you some when I was talking earlier. Some similes, metaphors, personification. Okay, used for impact. Up here, you need logical reasons for war. This is going to be factual. Okay, strongly facts. F-A-C-K-S. Oh no, C-T-S, sorry. It's been a long day, guys, sorry. Down here, we're looking at emotional. Remember, I drew pictures when I showed you mine. You're going to need emotional. This is going to be feelings. Very personal opinions as for me and myself. Okay? That's where you're going to get those emotional arguments. All right? So that's going to be your layout. You need to go back through now and read it silently to yourself. And you need to underline for those key parts, the logic and the emotion. Go ahead and circle or underline or star or whatever you need to do for your favorite quotes. You need to do your vocabulary. So let me see if I can't pull up the vocabulary list really quick and get that in. I don't know if it's going to pop up. There it is. You're going to have solace, insidious, martial, supplication, avert, spurned, inviolate, adversary, vigilant, and inevitable. Okay? Those are going to be your words that you need. You need to find synonyms for these words. One word for a word so that we know what they mean. Okay? This will be due, I will determine the due date on Friday when I come in to make sure that you guys are on task. If you guys are not on task, if I get bad reports, I'll probably just call it due and we'll move on. But if you're working, you may get extra credit. If you're working and you're doing everything you need to do, then you're on track, and I might give you an extra day if you need it, okay? So just do your job, do your work, and have a good day. I will see you guys on Friday. Thanks.